Well, hello. Hi. It's me, JP. Haven't seen me for a while, have you? It's nice to be back. And once again, I'm coming to you around Christmas time. I just realized that I did a reading of my script from Reinventing Christmas last year about this time, and that was a script from a video that we had done. Well, we did one version in 2020 and then followed up, I believe, 2 years later in 2022, if not just 2021. But you can go back and see that. I'm here to read you. We're bringing back the Friday reading, at least for this week. And today I'm going to feature two short pieces by W.D. James, and he's on Substack in under the name what is it called? The Philosopher's Holler. And he's a philosophy professor. He operates out of Kentucky, and we've exchanged emails back and forth. I like talking to him. I always learn something when I read his stuff. And so today, there's two pieces that he wrote about Christmas subjects. The first one I'm going to read is called "The Grinch, False Prophet," and the other one is Father Christmas, Part of the Resistance. And let's see, I'm going to close this one, but I'm going to save this one. Okay. And I'm going to, let me bring that back up. I got to share my screen. I closed the wrong one. There we go. All right. So there he is with the animated version of the Grinch. And as you'll see, he included some illustrations of the book. And the Grinch was not green in the book, but it may have been just the fact that it was printed in the 50s and they didn't want to put a lot of money into children's books. I don't know. Anyway, so this is The Grinch, False Philosopher by W.D. James, and it just came out on Thursday, the 18th. So just yesterday. And let's see what he has to say. This is, by the way, a still, I guess, or a little illustration from 1966. And this is from the TV show, right? So that would be, can't think of his name right now. He was the director for the Roadrunner cartoons and Bugs Bunny, one of my favorite animation directors. His name is escaping me right now, but it'll come back to me. Simple stories are often the best stories. The Christmas story itself is quite simple and about simple characters. A young mother, her baby, some shepherds, angels, and a manger. Most of the good stories it has inspired are likewise simple, dealing with a few human essentials. Christmas seems to be a time we can all accept dealing with basic truths. One of my favorites is Dr. Seuss's 1957, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, with an exclamation point. Almost everyone is familiar with the basic plot of the envious green Grinch creature and his faithful dog Max as they try to steal Christmas from the Whos who live nearby Whoville. It is a commonplace to call someone who doesn't seem to get into the spirit of the season a Grinch. Here I'd like to look a little deeper at who is a who. Let's see, a little deeper at who a who is and what sort of person the Grinch is to uncover a bit more of depth of the tale. Whoville. Whos are who the Grinch loves to hate, in no small part because whos love Christmas. Who are whos? Not that Seuss was intentionally thinking about this, but he could have been. But I think that the etymological depth of the word still shows through in the ordinary usage. The word derives from the Old English hua, or huo. I don't know what that would be. That looks like a schwa a, so I guess it would be hoa, hua. Okay, meaning what person. A who is not just a who is not just a what and not some nondescript them. The word bears traces of ontological insight that humans are distinct, unique persons. From little Cindy Lou Who to tall JP Who. I'm not exactly tall myself, but I think JP Who is. All Whos are equally persons, as we are taught in the earlier tome by the master Horton Hears a Who. A person is a person, no matter how small. And if you haven't kept up with that one, you can go back and find that book. It's a really good one. Hence, Whoville, where all the unique persons live in a harmonious community, is one image of the American beloved community of our imaginations and aspirations. His head wasn't screwed on quite right. Among the first things we are told about the Grinch is his head wasn't screwed on quite right, and that his heart was 2 sizes too small. He is pretty much a loner, thinks a good bit, and lives on a cold mountain just north of Whoville. Indisputably, the Grinch is a German philosopher of the rationalist variety, occupying the barren heights of cold reason. He hates noise, feasting, and singing the joys of embodied existence of Whos like us. They'd sing. Yes, Whos love all those things, and they love Christmas. I think Christmas is a very Who, very personalist holiday. It's quite important that the baby Jesus is not some archetype. He's a fragile little person born to humble parents in a very particular place. They are there so that they, okay, let me back up. Talking about Jesus and his parents. He's born to humble parents in a very particular place. They are there so they may be taxed. God and the tax man care about us as individual persons. I think archetypes have some sort of tax loophole. Of the many joys of the Whos, it is the singing. We are told the Grinch especially hates, Singing represents individual persons carried along into community through expression of beauty that sounds rather fancy and rare, but we can all sing together whenever we like utopia. The kingdom is within you at hand. Within you and at hand. I am having a hard time reading today, so my apologies. Here's the illustration from the book, and it's signed Dr. Seuss. So as you can see, like I mentioned, he's not illustrated as being green, but his eyes are red. Santa Claus. To facilitate his plan to steal Christmas, the Grinch puts on a Santa Claus suit and dresses his dog Max as a reindeer. He is not only a fake Santa, he is an anti-Santa. He comes to take, not to give. Clearly, the Grinch does not get or believe in Christmas. He impersonates that which he does not believe in, or take away what he does not think exists. Let me reread that because I want that to land. He impersonates that which he does not believe in to take away what he does not think exists. As a person who has rubbed elbows with many academic philosophers, that sounds like a nearly perfect description to me. There are no shortage of shysters who will gladly destroy the few beliefs hard-won through millennia of their young pupils. Do they replace those with true wisdom, whose name they bear in their title Philosopher, which equals lover of wisdom? No, they are quite adept at tearing down, but pitifully impecunious in their oh man, that's a word that's a $10 word, WD, but pitifully impecunious in the goods that they have to distribute. And as you can see here, he's taking the Who food, including the roast beast, out of their refrigerator. I like the little details that Dr. Seuss would put into his drawings, like this little fish that's in here that's kind of going, oh no, I mean, it's actually still got eyes and still alive, I guess. Let's bring that up. And this little image of a cake down here, like this little cake in a little, glass, cover to keep it fresh. And we got pickles in a bottle here. And then probably, I'm assuming, sausages and this sort of cutting device. And I love how the cans are stacked up and bottles and stuff. He really had a whimsical way with his illustrations, which I think is why he's so beloved. I like all the eggs up here too. And then it says, General Who Electric for the brand name of the refrigerator. That's cute. Okay, back to the reading. The Grinch takes the Who's presents, trees, food, and decorations, leaving only crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses, not even for a mouse to subsist on. Rationalism. His puzzler was sore, having stolen their Christmas their Christmas goodies. The Grinch expects to hear moans of boo-hoo echoing up from Whoville on Christmas morning, and he longs for it, the joy of miseries wrought. But what he hears instead is the merry singing rising up mountainside from the villagers below. How? With no presents. And then here we have the Who's singing, which they did a good job of recreating that on the cartoon. And then they do something he liked least of all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. He just stood there, puzzling and puzzling, with his feet in the cold snow, until his puzzler was sore. Poor philosopher. It's all just puzzles, except it isn't. In addition to the deep lessons Seuss is seeking to teach us, he has a specific message about the commercialization of Christmas he is wishing to convey. We are all told in the lore of the sage's life that he was particularly distraught at this particular time by such commercialization. And I just want to add here, before I continue, that was a popular idea with folks back then, especially in the late 50s and early 60s, because there was an extra push of commercialization post World War II, and when the baby boom generation were kids, and there was a lot of push after World War II to push the idea of a consumer economy, and Christmas was perfect for that. And if you go back to my my Christmas video that I was talking about earlier, we talk about how the origination of how we celebrate Christmas lent itself really well to commercialization and to the consumer economy. If anything, it helped push the consumer economy, the idea of it, in the 19th century along by a couple decades. It probably would have come around anyway because of the Industrial Revolution. It was born out of the Industrial Revolution, and it helped push that idea of being a consumer and being that engine of the economy. So if you look back on the Charlie Brown Christmas cartoon that came out in, I believe, 1964, just a few years after this book came out, Charlie Brown goes around and talks about the commercialization of Christmas. They knock on aluminum Christmas trees. They Snoopy, his dog, wins the prize for decoration contest and all that. So it was a sentiment that was held by a lot of people back then, and so it comes through in this book, but also I think in general. And I can go back to my reading last year, and I talk about this a little bit more. So anyway, so Christmas reading. All right, so let's see. In addition to the deeper lessons Seuss is seeking to teach us, he has a specific message about the commercialization of Christmas he is wishing to convey. We are told in the lore of the sage's life that he was particularly distraught at this particular time by such commercialization. It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. The Grinch's cold rationality can't comprehend it, nor can the cold calculation of the Christmas profiteer. Perhaps he realizes it means a little bit more. And there he is carving the roast beast. Again, the whimsy of his illustrations are great. We are told that the realization his heart grew 3 sizes that day. In response, he returns all the presents to the Who's, getting the Santa and divine directionality correct. The second to the last line of Seuss's modern fable, he himself, the Grinch has become a distinct person, a him, a who. He came down form Oh no, he came down from his lonely mountain to the welcoming village. He has been transformed. His heart has grown, and perhaps his head is screwed on a little bit more right. He joins the community and participates in the sacred holiday ritual. The Grinch carved the roast beast. So ends the Seuss's story. May we all be a bit more whoish this holiday season and find some folks to be noisy with, feast with, and sing with. And this is, he says, this is one of my favorite film Christmas scenes from A White Christmas. Amongst the mechanized, impersonal slaughter of war, personal relationships develop, and Rosemary Clooney of Maysville, Kentucky, is one of the stars of the movie. Even people from Kentucky are who's. It's also my daughter's favorite holiday film. I like it. It's not one of my favorite because it's a long movie, but it has some amazing scenes in it. One of my favorites is not this one, but the one where they're on the train going to, I believe, Maine from Florida, and they're singing in the club car, waiting for some sandwiches to be made. And they take a napkin and some items on the table and create like this sort of hilly seaside. And I think they take like parsley or something and make it look like trees on the hillside. It's amazing. And it's a song called Snow, where they say snow, snow, snow. Yeah. And anyway, that's a great scene. And then I also love the dance scene with, oh man, names are escaping me today. But I think, yeah, I forget the two actors that are in it. But it's he's wearing a gray suit and she's wearing a dress, and it's after the sisters do one of their performances. And anyway, it's a great dance scene. This particular scene is cool too because he says it's their whiz bang finish or something like that after the general shows up, and they do this great version of White Christmas. Okay, so I want to say something else about the Grinch here. So the thing about the Grinch is, Julie has been talking a lot about the narcissistic personality. And I believe the Grinch sort of fits in with that too, where, he sees something that he doesn't like and he wants to destroy it. And that is basically the narcissist. The Who's basically ignore him until he comes around. Now it's really unlikely in real life. This is a book, and it's a sweet book, and I don't want to dissect it too much because I think W.D. James did a great job here talking about it from a philosophy point of view. But I think in the context of our current situation in the world, after social media has basically decimated our society, despite the fact that I'm coming to you over a social media platform or platforms, I think that the narcissistic personality has become a lot more prevalent in our society, and they're out to destroy people and things and ideas and concepts and what have you, that they either don't agree with, or they just can't stand, or it has nothing to do with them, and they don't like it. They don't want it to be around. They'll destroy people in their lives just because they can. So I think that, if you look at the Grinch before his transformation, that he was the narcissist, and I think you can, this kind of reflects or shadows the whole idea of like the Scrooge story, where Scrooge finds redemption. And but I always find that Scrooge's redemption is a lot more hollow than the Grinch's. I think the Grinch, even though they're pretty much the same, they go have dinner with their family or their community. They go do these things, and it's said that he takes care of Tiny Tim and takes care of his community and all that. I'm less convinced by these transformations, especially if you look at them as archetypes, and now in our world with the psychopathic and narcissistic personality traits that are going on, that this is going to start happening less. At the same time, now that I live in a community that is about community events, and it's a smaller community than I used to live in, I feel like, there is room for us to improve. So I'm hoping that things start turning around and that people start realizing that what we've been doing for the last decade or two has, and probably more, probably since World War II, has been a trajectory of impersonality, of taking away what's good, taking away us as people, and returning to us as people, and returning to the idea that magic is in the world, and that we possess it, and that it's not something to be fantasized or belittled, and that we have a capacity far greater than what we've been led to believe we have. Okay, so that said, I'm going to come back here and hide this one, and I'm going to show this one. This is Father Christmas is Part of the Resistance, and I like this piece too. I read this morning. I didn't read it last year when it came out, or I may have, but I don't remember. But it's linked to the Grinch. The Grinch one at the bottom. I'll provide the links to both of these. And WD has a third one that's also, I didn't read it this morning. I plan to, but I felt like these two would be nice little bookends of Christmas content for you. Yeah, how impersonal content. Okay, Father Christmas is Part of the Resistance. And he said, "What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth." And that's from Genesis 4:10 to 12. Since I'm a Catholic, I don't know the KJV. I'm not a big Bible person. So because Catholics and the Bible, anyway, we have a relationship, but it's kind of distant. Anyway, as C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from 1950, a similar era, right, as Dr. Seuss's The Grinch, opens the land of Narnia. Oh, sorry, as the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. By the way, that this whole series, I remember when I was in 7th grade, we'd get a visit from one of our priests. I went to Catholic school, so there's the Catholicism again. And one of our priests came by once a week and read to us excerpts, and we went through the whole book, and it was nice having somebody read something to you. And it's been such a long time since I've heard these stories. I don't remember them that well. I mean, that was a long time ago. That was almost 50 years ago. So anyway, but it's nice reconnecting with this. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from 1950. As it opens, the land of Narnia is under a curse. The Narnian forest lies frozen under a blanket of snow, and it is always winter and never Christmas. It is a land of stifled life and gloom. The curse is a spell cast by Jadis, the self-proclaimed queen of Narnia. To the woodland creatures who make up the resistance to her illegitimate tyranny, she is called the White Witch. Jadis cannot create or celebrate anything real. Okay, again, the narcissist. Okay, it comes through, and it's been around. And if you go into Jungian philosophy or psychology, you see the archetypes, but the narcissist is very strong in his work, and he describes that personality type quite well because he documented it. All right, let's go back to this. Jadis cannot create or celebrate anything real. Her power is purely negative, illusions and domination. Sound familiar? The ultimate hope of the resistance lies in the return of the lion Aslan, his name in Narnia, though he is called other things in other worlds. The true king and creator of universes. There are many universes in the Chronicles of Narnia, connected by various portals that allow for travel between them. Aslan initially sang them into being. Lewis presents Jadis along the lines of a modern-day totalitarian dictator. She governs through fear, has spies everywhere, and employs a secret police force. She exerts power by corrupting the true natures of the various creatures of Narnia. Against her is an insurgency of the true-hearted woodland creatures, like the fawns, satyrs, beavers, most of the birds and trees and other critters, and eventually the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve, the humans, travelers from Earth, the Pevensey children, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. Here I would like to focus on the relatively small but significant role of Father Christmas in the larger drama of liberation, which will invoke the breaking of curses, the deployment of deep magic from the beginning of time, and the even deeper magic from before the dawning of time. The eventual advent of Father Christmas is foreshadowed by the appearance of his antitype early in the story. On Edmund's first journey to Narnia, he has an encounter with Jadis. She travels in a sled pulled by reindeer about the size of Shetland ponies. Father Christmas's reindeer are much larger, driven by a fat dwarf who wears a red hood and has a huge beard. And oftentimes, well, let me go into that in a second here. So there's a photo of him from the movie. In Clement Clarke Moore's classic poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," 1823, Santa is portrayed as a right jolly old elf. In Germanic folklore, elves and dwarves have some things in common, but though the evidence is mixed in the early Eddas, dwarves are, if not grasping, at least reluctant to share their trade of objects of finely crafted metalwork. Plus, they live underground, which is not as cool as living amongst the forests and glens as elves do. So Jadis is driven, and I don't know if it's Jadis or Jadis, it might be Jadis, Jadis, it could be Jadis, is driven around by a stubby, selfish little Santa anti-type, with her being drawn behind in the sleigh. This little guy is the harbinger of malevolence and despair. I think about when he talks about this character, I think of the Krampus character that also comes from German folklore. And when we were living in Pittsburgh, they actually had a Krampus day, which is, I believe, it was like early in December, like I want to say, the 8th or the 13th, and St. Nicholas's feast day is around there too. So I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but because of all, the Germans and Eastern Europeans that came to Pennsylvania, but specifically to Pittsburgh to work, I think those tales and that lore still exists to this day, even, which is something that is kind of sweet. One of the only sweet things about Pittsburgh that's left. Although, there's a strong culture of, Ukrainians and Slavic people and Germanic people as well that still exist amongst the denizens of Pittsburgh. The other sweet thing is that also at Christmas, they have a very lovely, something that I still miss, Julie and I both miss, is their lovely little Christmas or holiday season market square, which looks like a little German village, the kind of thing that Julie actually encountered in Germany when she was visiting there. So it had a sense of authenticity about it that was very sweet and lovely to be around. So we liked that, and we missed that at this time of year. The other thing I want to say, when he mentions, when WD mentions Clement Clarke Moore's poem, which is also featured in our video about Christmas, the Reinventing Christmas, that's the name of it, Reinventing Christmas. We talk about this poem and how it was the template for what we now think of as Santa Claus. But originally he was, like he said, he was portrayed as a right jolly old elf. And in the early illustrations of Santa Claus, he was depicted in a way that he was working class. So he wasn't a regal figure back then. He was considered a working class individual, and you can tell. And the author of the book that I reference in the video, I think it's called the Battle for Christmas or something like that. Santa Claus is depicted with a clay pipe that is short, and the thing about the pipes back then, these clay pipes, they would be in pubs, and you could break off a piece and like rent the pipe. But the other side of it too is that the wealthier people used the longer pipes, the stubbier pipes, maybe because they were at a discount, maybe some other reasons. But what the author of the book that I was referencing talked about was when men were working and they were smoking pipes, they couldn't have long pipes and do their physical labor, right? They could only have short pipes because they'd get in the way of things, right? When you're trying to do physical labor. So that was one of the indications that he gave as Santa as being from the working class, rather than how he's depicted these days. Over time, he became larger, more grand, and even his clothing has changed over time. And I think it was Coca-Cola that gave him the red and white. But anyway, I digress greatly here. But I think of this dwarf as also being sort of a Krampus character. Father Christmas arrives in Narnia slightly more than halfway through the book. He drives a sledge pulled by impressive reindeer. He is a huge man in a bright red robe, bright as holly berries. Now, I'm going to say that the Father Christmas of England is much different than, the Santa Claus, even though they're similar characters. And red is a color of royalty. Red traditionally was not a color that was easily produced in the kind of bright red that you would see royalty wearing. You'd see scarlet and other colors, but they were produced by other means. Red was not an easy color to make, just like blue was also, and purple. But I digress again. Sorry, history. A huge man in a bright red robe, bright as holly berries, with a hood that had fur inside. It was great. It was and a great white beard that fell like a foamy waterfall over his chest. Here is the real thing. Finally, though, it is still winter in Narnia, but, and that's my but, inserted, it is also Christmas. Here I am inserting my butt into things. He explains, I've come at last. She, Jadis, has kept me out for a long time, but I have got in at last. Aslan is on the move. The witch's magic is weakening. Now that he has finally gained access to this world, what does he set about to do? Well, to distribute presents, of course. We all love presents. What does he bring for the Narnians, still under occupation? For Mrs. Beaver, a new sewing machine. And for Mr. Beaver, he completes his dam and adds a really nice sluice gate. For the Pevensey children, for Peter, a sword and a shield. Susan gets a bow that does not easily miss, and a horn for sounding alarms. Little Lucy gets a small dagger and a bottle of healing elixir. Edmund at this point is a captive of the White Witch, so no gifts for him. Santa is an arms supplier to the resistance. You really have to love Lewis and classic children's stories. I love that line. That's really cool. Santa is an arms supplier to the resistance. I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to read this one today for you. Exactly. There is a dawning of hope for the Creatures Liberation Front of Narnia. My term, not Lewis's. Christmas has come, which brings with it the promise of new life and liberation from the darkness. So when you see Santa or Father Christmas or whatever he is called in your neck of the woods, give him a wink of the eye and a twist of the head, a secret signal of the resistance, and know he is on our side. Long live Father Christmas. Long live Christmas. Long live Aslan. And long live Narnia. And this was originally published on Winter Oak, which are also friends of ours. We did an interview with Paul Kudnick behind Winter Oak, and we love them. So I hope you check that out. I will put these in the notes, the show notes, and so you can see that link. So I hope that you, and I've got some bright light on me right now. I hope that you enjoyed that reading and those pieces there. I love the piece about the Grinch, and I feel like he's a very popular character these days. The local mall had him showing up to meet the children, but they called him the green Christmas villain because of copyright, I guess. There was a time when Dr. Seuss's things, his media and his books and things were not copywritten. He purposely did not copyright his things, and it wasn't until the 1990s, after his death, maybe a short time, maybe a long time, I can't remember, after his death, that his family realized this, and they quickly set about to copywriting those things before they'd lose out. But for a long time, his stuff was in the public domain, and you could see a lot of Dr. Seuss themed T-shirts on college universities for a while there. Anyway, so I hope you all are having a great holiday season. Ours has been a little curtailed. We did not do as much decorating this year, and I'm sure you understand why if you've been following Julie's audios and videos. And I have not been around because I've been very busy. And this is a time when we both like to kind of relax, but we seem to find ourselves in a community that's hell-bent on making sure that we all celebrate together. So tonight we're going to go to a lighting, or what is it? It's a lighting of Main Street, which is not called Main Street. We have a Main Street, but that's not it. It's called Howard Avenue. And they're going to have a bunch of trees lining up and down, the Christmas trees that we all are going to decorate. And they're going to light those up. And actually, we're decorating them the night before, so on Thursday. They're going to light up the trees and the avenue. And then there's going to be, because this is the South Coast, the southern Mississippi nearby New Orleans, where Mardi Gras isn't far behind Christmas. Christmas always has an eye on Mardi Gras, I have to say. We actually have beads on our Christmas tree, a la New Orleans Mardi Gras. So we're going to have the Santa Gras parade. So it's going to be, because this is a small town on the coast, it's going to involve golf carts, because it has to. So it's going to be kind of I don't know if it's going to be like a second line. I've never seen this parade. It's new this year, so I don't know if it's going to be like a carnival parade. I'm sure they're going to be throwing beads. They've got to throw beads. It's a parade in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, so they got to throw beads. So we'll come home with some more beads tonight. And anyway, so we're going to do that. And there's stuff going on tomorrow, on Saturday, and there's stuff going on Sunday. We're going to go to a concert at our local Catholic church, and which is also, I guess, the place of the bishops. So it's our cathedral. And and then it's like the march is on to Christmas. So Monday is the day before the first Monday before Christmas. So anyway, I'm babbling now, but I hope you all have a great season. I hope you are able to see friends and family if you so choose. And hopefully it isn't so much about presents, even though we all like presents, as much as it is about gatherings and being a person, a who is a person, no matter how small they are. So make sure that you get together with your fellow who's in your particular Whoville, and we will see you all again soon. I'm JP, and I hope, again, you have a great holiday season. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
You can help us continue our work by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Book of Hours, or leave us a one-time donation at paypal.me/Book of Hours. Or you can use Cash App. Thank you.